Welcome back to Studio One Vintage Guitars, New Zealand's home of vintage guitars. My name is Nick Brightwell. Today we have a not so vintage guitar. We have a 001228 Modern Deluxe. The Modern Deluxe range from Martin Guitars. This is a highly spec'd new take on what Martin can do. It has a lot of new age features to it. It's very interesting. Just to go through some of them, we have a carbon fiber bridge plate. We have a titanium truss rod. We also have maple binding all the way around. We have VTS on the Adirondack spruce top. We also have a modern vintage style neck. So very interesting instrument. First of all, let's go over the VTS. So this guitar has a VTS top, which means vintage tone system, which means that they have taken the Adirondack top, put it in the microwave, put it up for 30 seconds, got a little bit of the moisture out of it, and they have kind of dried the top out to get that vintage sound. See, the idea is wood, before it gets worked on and turned into a guitar, it's been dried out, either air dried or it's been kind of dried over time, or they have applied some heat in the actual storeroom itself, but they dry the wood out, try and get moisture out of it, and then over time, as the guitar ages after it's been built, it ages and more moisture actually leaves it. And they talk about it's somewhere around about 12 or 14% moisture content in the wood is kind of where the vintage guitars get to, and that gives you this kind of combination of a dense sound but also this kind of nice airy sound. And so the vintage tone system, as Martin call it, or torification, is an attempt to get a very good vintage sound without having to play the guitar and having to own it for 80 years. So that's very high spec, but we also have this maple binding. If you're into the luthier kind of world of guitar builders, you'll start to see that we have maple binding. The Melville guitar that we have here has maple binding. Some of the Lucas guitars I've seen are a very, very high-end builder out of the Tennessee area. He uses maple binding, and it seems to be becoming a popular feature. I'm a big fan of wood binding on guitars. I believe that it adds its own characteristics and tone. But going to the neck, where we have a lot of new kind of features, so it has the modern performance taper. So I believe that means that we kind of have the same neck profile, but we also have this vintage deluxe, which probably most notable is here around the first fret, halfway through the first fret, and kind of here to the other side of the nut, you actually have kind of the neck comes out and gets a bit wider. You see that on, I've seen that on a lot of early 30s Martins, and you see that on custom shop models as well. But the idea is that it's kind of shaped for the V of your hand, so it fits perfectly right here. I should also say that the width at the nut here is 1/13/16, so it's a little bit wider. It's not 1/7/8, the kind of vintage style wide neck, but it's a little bit bigger than a 1 3/4, so a little bit more room for finger picking. But speaking of, we'll just do a little bit of that to break up all the chat. So. Yeah, so it has a very nice open sound. Being a 12 fret model, we're in great company. This is, you know, the 00 size is kind of what Martin were doing from about, you'd say, 1870 and all the way up into the 1930s, and, you know, a very popular guitar. You know, very balanced sound, but having a 12 fret neck, but still with the shorter scaling for 24.9, you get a nice kind of looseness in the strings. Not as much protection as a long scale with 25.4, but being a smaller body, you've got a bit more punch. Really what you lose out on, say, a smaller body is just you don't have as much low end, but the lack of low end kind of means more balance, so very balanced instrument. Other modern features that we have on it is we have gold Waverleys on it, so Waverley tuners that are arguably the best tuners, or easily in that top 3 category of tuners that you can get on a guitar. But we also have this beautiful Martin logo up top, but it's in the power inlay, and we also have power dots, or abalone dots as the Americans call it, abalone dots down the sides. So you know, when they say Modern Deluxe, this is really them this is them making their deluxe guitar they can, but this is different to the D45 or the 40 series of guitars. So very high spec in introducing a lot of new designs, which is, you know, Martin have always led the way. Almost for 200 years they've been leading the way in new designs in guitar. So yeah, let's go a little bit further. What else can we play on this? We'll do some stuff and we'll do... So a bit of Eric Clapton for you. Yes, so you know, this is in the higher end of the Martin world nowadays, but this is a very, very nice guitar, and being a combination of the old vintage style 00, but with all these modern features, makes it a very interesting instrument. And you know, it's always a little bit of growing pains when Martin introduce new things. You know, a lot of us are purists and we just want to see old Martins be remade again. But the reality is that Martin have to make new products. They do have to kind of push the boundaries on what they do. Everyone involved has to stay interested. So yeah, very interesting guitar. Oh, I haven't mentioned that it has liquid metal pins as well. So the idea is these metal pins are a little lighter but also rigid, so you get a nice resonance from them, and pyramid style bridge, if I haven't mentioned that already. So yeah, very, very nice instrument. I'm going to just try it out in a little bit of open G now. As I said, good tuners. Just tune itself. Vintage music for you, everyone. All right, so that will leave it here. This is the 001228 Modern Deluxe. Great guitar, very interested to have one of these in shop, get to play a little bit more. If you want to come down and check it out, you're more than welcome. If you're not in our part of the world and you won't be able to buy a guitar from us, go down to your local Martin dealership and check them out. They are a very interesting instrument, and if you're a Martin head, you've got to observe them, got to check them out, see what it's all about. So, if you like this content, please like, subscribe and share. Thank you to the first 1,000 subs. We're already at 1,400 subs and it's climbed in the past couple of weeks, so things are really picking up for us here. We have a new member on board and we're going to start talking about him soon. Thank you to all of our regular watchers. You know, cheers guys. I appreciate all the comments that you leave. It's always good to hear from all of you. The more you comment, the more I remember you and the more it turns into an ongoing conversation, those of you who know what I'm talking about. But yeah, any questions, just reach out to us and we can help you out. My name is Nick Brightwell. Have a good time. See you next time. Cheers.